Welcome to your class, everybody. My name is Robert Tyndall. I'm going to be your instructor this semester, and I'm making this recording in the midst of a huge storm, which is about to pound into the California coast. You can hear the sound of the rain on the roof if you listen. Because not only do I want to welcome you to your class, but I also want to, before going into details about the nuts and bolts of what you'll be learning and what's required of you this semester, I want to talk about the big picture. I want to talk about what learning is. Now, all of you have been through school. You've all had different experiences with it, and some of them have not been good. And so, as I say learning, you're probably sitting there saying, yeah, learning. Okay, big deal, right? Well, I wish to offer you an alternative definition, or maybe a definition of what learning really is. Because it's not actually at its root just acquiring information and performing a particular task and proving you can do something. Learning's actually the stuff of life. And I say this with a deep sense of empathy as a teacher. I left high school when I was 16 because I thought it was idiotic. And I didn't return to school to university until I was 23. And when I returned with a vengeance and I got my education. But at that point, I knew why I was going. And it may be what I can share with you might make a difference for you, particularly because, believe it or not, I grew up on the streets. My mother, who is a police officer and prison guard, left me as a child of 9 in a children's shelter, which is basically a prison for kids, and left. And so, in that circumstance where I had suddenly fallen into the criminal class, I was a naive middle class kid who didn't even know that kids smoked. I had to reassemble my world as my identity disappeared down the drain. And books were absolutely key to finding an inner meaning, a shelter, a home, a sanctuary. Learning was what allowed me to survive and not end up in San Quentin, where it was predicted I was going to go at a certain point. I know about poverty. I know about addiction. I know about the struggle to rise from extremely humble roots. So, in my teaching, what I am out to do is to provide you with a growth mindset and the kind of grit which is going to allow you to succeed as well. It's not just about skills, folks. It's about getting down into that bedrock of the motivation and the hunger for knowledge and ability and capacity that we want to awaken as we work together. Big goal, right? But if I'm going to teach, I want to do it for reasons that inspire me. And so now you know what I'm about. Okay, let's get back to this word learn. Where does it come from? Well, it's a deep time word. It's a word that we can track back around 5,000 years. And I want to share with you a quote from a book called The Once and Future King, where King Arthur, young King Arthur, when he's still called Wart, is talking with his mentor, the wizard Merlin. It's a rainy day like today. Wart, young Arthur, is bored out of his mind and sad, and and kind of feels stuck inside the castle. And he's dealing with what a lot of us deal with now, a pervasive sense of sadness, a sense of hopelessness. Like, what's the meaning of all of this? And he shares this with Merlin. So if you want to just scroll down, you can see the quote that I'm about to read you right beneath this video. So go ahead and do that if you like. And now I'm going to read the quote. "The best thing for being sad," replied Merlin, beginning to puff and blow, "is to learn something. That's the only thing that never fails. You may grow old and trembling in your anatomies. You may lie awake at night listening to the disorder of your veins. You may miss your only love. You may see the world about you devastated by evil lunatics, or know your honor trampled in the sewers of baser minds. There's only one thing for it then: to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing which the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, and never dream of regretting. Learning is the only thing for you. Look what a lot of things there are to learn." Okay, wonderful spirit of hunger, desire to learn in this, right? Okay, I want to share with you the origins of the word. Now, if you followed me this long, I think you can follow me a little longer as I take you back the paths of etymology. Now, you may not know this, but we've done an amazing job in the last couple centuries of tracking languages back to their sources. And English, of course, goes back through German. And it goes even further back. And we can now follow many of the words in English back about 5,000 years. So let's follow back the word to learn and find out where it came from and what it means. I'm reading from this book, The Old Ways. Here's what it says. "The trail begins with our verb to learn, meaning to acquire knowledge. Moving backwards in language time, we reach the Old English Liornian, to get knowledge, to be cultivated. From Liornian, the path leads further back. Now, we're already back 1,000 years. Into the fricative thickets of Proto-Germanic and to the word Lisnojan, which has a base sense of to follow or to find a track. So it's, me, hunting language. And that word, Lisnojan, comes from the Proto-Indo-European prefix. Now we're back 5,000 years. Les, meaning track. So originally, to learn meant to find our way through the world, to find our way through wilderness, to hunt, to be able to adapt, to acquire useful knowledge for our survival. And it involved a sense of adventure, going forth into the forest, into the wild, finding a track, making a track, wayfaring, going out onto the ocean, the whale road. Right? These are glorious things. And yes, when we're sitting in a university classroom, reading something online, our hearts may not be stirred with the same sense of adventure. And yet, it's there. We're learning. We're carving out our path, and everything that we acquire can be brought to it. So that's what I wanted to share with you. That's the big context of this class. And I want to end by stating briefly that there are three obstacles that I see coming up for students these days that I want to share with you in case they're relevant for you. The three are: first, students are often overwhelmed with obligations these days. You have a job, you have your boss at your job, there are family, there are children, financial issues, housing issues. These are real. You need to take care of them. The best way to also take care of your learning, your education, is to begin the class by engaging at the beginning of the modules and getting into the rhythm of the course. You need to create a space inside of yourself that allows room for the class to happen in your life. So if you do that in the first few weeks of the class, you're going to be okay because you've found a place for it in the schedule, you've found a place for it in your mind, in your cognition. Log on early. Don't put this off until later in the week if you can avoid it, because you're more likely to have to drop out and fail the class if that's the case, and we don't want that to happen. The second thing that I see going on, especially after COVID, is there's a general drop in backbone. We've been out of practice with following through on commitments. We've lost a lot of our grit, on a lot of our growth mindset. We're going to be looking at both those things this semester. Knuckle down. Some of us need to bring back our motivation. Some of us need to discover it for the first time. It's been a tough last couple of years. Power just almost went out. Be in touch with me if you need support, please. And the third is many of us are grappling, especially post-COVID, with issues like depression, anxiety, and other psychological, spiritual, mental health issues that are real. And I want to say that I think this is a good place for you to be. And I want to support you in being here because learning is about finding our way. And this class can be a support for you to develop an inner self, an inner structure which can allow the mental and the emotional things to just pass through, to give them space, and yet have a kind of intelligence and ability and compassion for yourself, where you're able to hold it and to move through it. And again, for all of you, I invite you to reach out to me if you need support. I'm quite sincere about that. Okay, I'm going to stop this before I lose power. And I want to thank you for holding with me all the way through this. I look forward to learning together with you.